On Thursday night, the Montreal Canadiens went to Edmonton and played a pretty impressive game against a group of professionals who should have had a much better night than they did, but continue to be disappointing. They also played against the Edmonton Oilers.
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Locked On Canadiens. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day and for subscribing wherever you get your podcasts. Doing that ensures you don't miss an episode, and it really supports us here on the show, so we appreciate you when you do that. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. My name is Ian Boisvert, also known as Maybe It's Ian, and I'm joined, as I always am, by Laura Saba, also known as the Active Stick. Laura, really quick before we get started, let's just do one quick deep breath in and one out. How are you feeling?
Honestly, I'm very, very angry, not just because of the officiating, because every time a team loses, a lot of times you get accused of blaming the officiating. But I sat down to watch the Canadiens play an almost perfect road game. I sat down to see incredible things happening. A second night of a back-to-back, the Habs had all the energy. It was a magnificent effort by them, and it feels like it was stolen from them, and in a very unsatisfying way. So it's hard because I truly thought for our Friday episode, we were going to sit down and rejoice in the effort that the Habs had shown tonight.
Yeah, I was looking forward to talking about the man who's tied for the league leading goals in Cole Caulfield,
Right.
who had a tremendous second period, and that line put the team on its back when they needed it. When they were down in a game they should have been leading in. That Canadiens have a habit of turning like everyday average goalies into Dominic Hasek lately, which I don't really appreciate. But that's neither here nor there. But instead, what we have to talk about, and what will be the story of this game until the Canadiens play again on Saturday night, it's all we're going to be talking about, is the officiating. And this is a trend for the Canadiens. We have our mailbag coming up too, so stick around. We're gonna get this out of our system. We'll purge the toxins, and then we'll have a nice fun mailbag. I think that we'll send us off into the weekend on a positive note. But look, I've been joking around on it on Blue Sky during games ever since the Chicago game that Jeff Blashill is to blame for all of this. For those who might not know, that irrelevant man is the coach of the Chicago Blackhawks now. He is a placeholder for an actual NHL coach for whenever the Blackhawks decide to, make the jump. He's Timu brand John Cooper. That's really who he is. In a game where the Canadiens dominated the Blackhawks and the Blackhawks took so many stupid penalties, he used his time after the game to call the Canadiens out for diving. Were there some where it went down kind of soft? Yeah, sure. But look at the rest of his history in the National Hockey League, and you tell me Josh Anderson has ever earned and not earned a call. Like, the referees do not help Josh Anderson one bit on any given night. Since that game, in the 6 games that have followed, the Canadiens have had 10 power play opportunities to their opponents' 19. They are nearly being doubled in power play opportunities since that happened. These referees are human. I get that. That is unacceptable. And we're going to get into some of the quotes of the players after the game. We're going to talk about how we not even fix this, but how we learn to coexist with this, because the Canadiens are really upset, and they have every right to be. Laura, am I making a mountain out of a molehill with that
No.
Jeff Blashill thing? Like, it drives me nuts that this worked.
Yeah, not at all. I think, and this is the thing, like, Chicago legitimately took those penalties, right? They played an undisciplined game. And instead of, talking to your team about tightening it up, instead you go into the media and you start talking about Montreal. It's like the same thing as Montreal typical, right? And I remember Montreal typical happened back in the day. We did analysis. We counted. No, it wasn't Montreal typical to get calls, right? And it's a myth. And so it drives me insane. But for me, the proof is that they don't even know why they called Josh Anderson. They know that they did. Like, I'm fairly certain the reason the Canadiens didn't get an explanation is because the refs just wanted to call something on him. They just wanted to put a Canadian in the box, or maybe just Josh Anderson in the box.
They were upset. They were upset that No, I'm not giving the referees the benefit of the doubt on this one. It wasn't like, they got upset because they blew the Uri Slafkovsky call. That was not a board. They fell for a guy falling down as Slafkovsky was going into the boards and had the bear hug on him so that he didn't board him. And the guy falls and he gets called for a board. Whatever. On that penalty kill, Josh Anderson gets his feet taken out from behind him, and there's no penalty call. Then Connor McDavid is one of the best skaters in the league until he doesn't want to be. Like, that's what I learned in this game. Twice in one shift, he has the puck knocked away from him, and then his knees stop working, and he falls down. Two very blatant, I'm trying to draw a penalty because I know it's the only way my team can win this game. And he did it.
And then they did. It worked.
They called the second one, and what the referees probably didn't like from Josh Anderson was that they knew he was right. They don't want to hear it. It's the same reason why umpires don't want you to call balls and strikes because they knew they screwed up. They knew that they got it wrong. And now with pitch tracking in baseball, we all see it on TV. That was a foot outside that little rectangle, you dummy. Like, what are you doing? They knew that they messed that up. They knew that the game was tilting in Edmonton's favor, and they didn't want to hear it. And they got really thin-skinned, which as an NHL referee, you shouldn't do. Now, you alluded to it. Marty St. Louis said he was given no explanation for what Josh Anderson did to earn that call. Unsportsmanlike conduct was the penalty. That is a vague penalty for a reason. It demands an explanation. For an NHL referee to not provide that to a team is disqualifying. So Garrett Rank and Chris Schlemker, I believe, I've never heard of that man before in my life, and I hope I never have to again. That is not professional behavior. You hold the players and the coaches to this standard where they're not allowed to speak out. They're not allowed to talk, which a lot of the people in the Canadiens did after this one. We'll get those quotes in a second. You have to explain what's going on.
Yeah.
Because what happens now is you have a sport where I've been watching hockey for almost 20 years now, and every night there's one or two things that I don't know why they're happening. And maybe that's just because I'm stupid, and that's fine. I know a lot of people will probably say, yeah, it's because you're stupid. Fair point. I agree with you. But like, you'd think that my batting average would be a little bit better,
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like the one in Calgary just the other night. Not even a penalty. Why did they start the game with the lights off? Because both coaches said go for it? That's not how this works. So I'm just kind of fed up with the whole made up nature of all of this. Like, none of this is real. None of this is based in any reality. Not telling a team why you gave them a vague penalty is cowardly. It's baby behavior. And these guys should be way tougher if they want to be in the toughest league in the world.
You know how I think we could fix it? Like, truly, is that
Robots?
No, not robots.
No.
Like, after every game, like, the referees have to go in front of the media and take every clip of the penalty they gave and explain. So, like, they have to see that penalty they gave to Uri Slafkovsky and explain why they gave it, because they'll be ashamed of themselves and they'll stop doing things like that.
Yeah. We have to get to the quotes here from the team. Cole Caulfield, in my opinion, had the spiciest one. The refs kind of took over the game there, and kudos to them for winning it. That's crazy. He's probably going to have to open up his wallet on that one. Brendan Gallagher on the unsportsmanlike penalty assessed to Josh Anderson. Could we have handled our emotions better? Of course. And we'll talk about that. Obviously, the Oilers, have some high-end talent, and they don't need the help. That is always a real dig at the referees that, like, hey, these guys are good. They don't need your help. And then the last one here from Marty. We watch video and we try to get better as a group. I hope the league has the same process as coaches do. Marty, I guarantee you they do not, because we wouldn't have a lot of these problems. This is the one job that I really wish would be taken over by AI. The one job I wish we would take the human out of, because none of these humans have proven that they're good enough to do this. It's a hard job. Yeah, and if my excuse at work for not getting my job done is it's hard, I don't have a job anymore. Yeah. Like, I don't know why this is an acceptable thing to just parrot after they completely blow this on a nightly basis.
Well, like, I mean, just think about it in all of our day-to-day lives. Like, those of us who have email jobs, right? I have a one-on-one with my manager on a regular basis. On some people have it once a month, some people have it once a week, right? And I explain why I didn't get things done or why I did get things done and what support I need, right? The NHL refs need a one-on-one with the league every week. Yeah. Here's your performance over the last week. Care to explain?
Well, if you did that, you'd need a full slate of new referees every week. Maybe that's why they don't. It's hear no evil, see no evil, there is no evil. Like, they just don't care. I'm not going to look at it. La, 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 it's fine. Gary Bettman says they're the best in the world. Shut up.
Right. You don't have to fire them, though. You just have to demand accountability, because that's the one thing they don't have. They don't have
The
accountability.
the one guy they held accountable was the only one that told the friggin' truth in Tim Peel. The only reason why Tim Peel got in trouble, and he didn't get fired, he got retired early. He was already going to retire at the end of the year. The only reason that happened is because he got caught on a hot mic saying what we all knew was already true, which is that, well, I had to, it wasn't much of a penalty, but I had to give it to him because the last two went to the other team. Like that's the fact that the one referee who got in trouble was just the one who said the quiet part out loud, I find to be completely disqualifying for the entire group. Associating them together, there are no good ones. Like, everyone's like, well, Wes McCauley is good. No, he very is not. Go watch a Wes McCauley game. The only reason why you think they're good is because you know who he is.
Yeah.
Like, the other one you know who he is Chris Lee, and I heard Scott at the Buffalo game. He's not a big fan of that guy. Nobody really is. All right. We're ending this with another deep breath in and one out. And when we come back, we're going into the mailbag here on Locked On Canadiens.
This episode is brought to you by Rougiet. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress, I'm tired, or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rougiet comes in. Rougiet.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. Rougiet makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, so no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNHL. Don't forget to use our code LockedOnNHL so they know we sent you. Rougiet. Stop making excuses and start making moves. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Hockey season is officially here, and nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real, getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, and prices that jump right before checkout, it's easy to get frustrated when all you want to do is cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in, the app that gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NHL tickets fast, easy, and stress-free. We recently used Game Time to get seats for an upcoming NHL game here in Montreal. It's going to be my co-host's first time at the Bell Center, and Game Time really came through. The best part is you can see the view from your seat, so you know exactly what you're getting into. And there's no hidden fees at checkout. The zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you save big. And you can even find NHL tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying NHL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go.
All right, welcome back. We've got all that out of our system. I feel a little better. I imagine in about 30 minutes when I try to go to bed, I'll be angry again. But for now, I feel good, especially because we're headed into the mailbag. We get to take questions from our listeners. Mm-hmm. If you have a question for us, lockedoncanadiens@gmail.com is probably the best way to get to us. But Locked On Canadiens on various social media sites, you'll find us. You can send us questions there as well. Before we do the questions, though, Laura, we have some shout outs, right? Did you want to get these out of the way here?
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, a big birthday shout out to Isaac and his twin sister. Big fans, and I can tell in very short interactions that your dad is the kind of dad that just beams when he talks about you. So I hope you have a wonderful birthday on the 25th. Have a wonderful birthday weekend. And thank you also for listening, and thank you also to your dad for making you Canadiens fans and introducing you to our podcast. And then we've got another big one. A certain party is taking place in a certain area, and both Ian and I are invited, so it does have to do with the Locked On Canadiens extended universe, and we wish the happy couple a wonderful weekend, and we're so excited to be there.
Excellent. We're gonna start charging for these, by the way, these shout outs. No, we're not. It's fine. I promise. Hey, let's get into some mailbag questions here. Question here from, let's do Ryan first. Ryan Lunch Posting, who is a Penguins mutual of mine, who loves to post pictures of sandwiches he has for lunch. So I'm always a big fan of that kind of content. Long term, do you see Oliver Kapanen sticking with the team? And if so, do you think he stays with Demidov, or do you see Demidov moving up in the lineup? What are your thoughts on Kapanen, especially after a game where that line was dominant?
Yeah. I think Kapanen stays. I think he's like a Jake Evans type player where in Montreal, he really, really works really well. And even though he's not going to be the big name on the score sheet every night, he's going to be the kind of guy you really need in your lineup to win. That's how I see Kapanen. But I do see eventually the Montreal Canadiens moving Demidov up. But why do that now when things are going so well with that line? And the top line doesn't need to be broken up, right? They're still dominant.
Yeah.
There will be a time where you can't help but put Ivan Demidov on. I'm like getting self-conscious. It's Ivan Demidov.
Ivan Demidov. Yes.
Ivan Demidov. Yes.
You know what's a good rule of thumb for how names are pronounced? Michel Lacroix is usually pretty good at it, and that's how he says it. So
that's exactly why I say it that way, right?
Yeah.
So yes, when people say it's Ivan, no, it's not. It's Ivan. That's
Ivan Demidov.
Ivan. Yeah.
Most Russian names, if they're 3 syllables, the emphasis is on the middle syllable.
Yeah.
It's not Demidov, it's Demidov.
Yes.
That's how it works.
Yes. Anyways, that's how Michel Lacroix pronounces, and that's why we pronounce it that way on this show. So for all the pedants in our comments, calm down. Go watch a video of Michel Lacroix.
I'll be quick with my Kapanen assessment. I think he ends up the third line center on this team, and it's a hilariously good third line center to have. I think they'll find a more offensively potent option for Demidov. I'm less certain that he ends up with some combination of Suzuki, Caulfield, or Slavkovsky. I'm really confident in that line right now. They are cooking. Like, I just don't think that any move of Demidov there is an upgrade on the chemistry that line has. And if you could have Demidov on another line that is equally as dominant, why wouldn't you just do that? Like, I think that's where we need to head. Let's do some special teams questions here. Let's start with Danny Joe. Probably too late. It wasn't. We're here. But every now and then try Dobson on power play 1 when Lane isn't working. An actual shot threat from the point. Watch the power play against Nashville and the one against the Flames. They leave Lane alone near the blue line and defend the outlet as his shot to the point is weak. There was another question from Jeff the Red, who asks, what's a bigger issue for the power play? Passing up shooting lanes or a shooting lane? The wordplay is excellent. Thank you for that one, Jeff.
We have a
what are your thoughts?
We have a third question about that. And that comes from Mark on Instagram. Do you think Hutson needs to be less gun shy and shoot when he gets into the house? I feel like he keeps defaulting to the pass option and opponents are reading and expecting it. I would like to see him shoot more when he gets in the house. I realize it isn't his strongest skill, but it may actually be more deceptive than the extra pass he keeps trying to force. So obviously we talked about special teams, and this is more when he's getting like in those prime spots. Yeah. But I think the sentiment behind all 3 questions is the same.
Yeah, I feel like I'm comfortable with the amount that Hutson is shooting. Like, because, most of the time when he's working on the power play, he is on the perimeter. That's where he makes his work because he's able to move and use the boards and use the blue line to his advantage and sort of, shake guys out of the way that way. But, when he does get into those high danger chances, like we saw it, was it the no, it wasn't the Calgary game. Can't remember which one it was.
Maybe the Buffalo game that was here?
Maybe it was one of those where he comes into the slot and he scores. He takes a shot immediately. It was the Buffalo game because it went through Alex Lyon.
Yeah.
I feel like when he does get into those spots, he does shoot. I mean, he's had a few breakaways in the last few games, which is hilarious. And I think both times he kind of wasn't sure if he wanted to deke or shoot, but he definitely wasn't thinking pass in any of those scenarios. I think I'm fine with that. I do like the option of having Dobson maybe just throw him on for a power play here or there.
As a surprise, as a treat.
Yeah. Because I think his vision is, and maybe this is blasphemous to say, reminding me of Andrei Markov.
Mm-hmm.
His vision from the point to find passing lanes, especially on Caulfield's first goal, which wasn't a power play goal, but his pass to find him on that side was very reminiscent of Markov to Kovalev. Like, it very much felt like that kind of connection. I would like to see him get the chance to run a power play that, for what it's worth, isn't made up of third liners, right?
Yes.
Like he would be getting a legit number one power play, especially now that Demidov was very unceremoniously moved up to power play one. They got one shot on the power play and he was there. And I kind of looked up. I was like, oh, he's on the first unit now. That was kind of, anticlimactic. We thought this was going to be this big thing. And no, he's just there. No notes at morning skate. No, nothing. Just, okay, he's on there. Sorry,
No
guys.
notes.
We didn't tell you. Yeah. I think for me, and this will be the last point before we move to our third segment here, I think the main issue with the power play is that they haven't had a lot of reps. I outlined it in our first segment when complaining about the officiating. They've only, in their last 6 games, they've had 10 power play opportunities. It's just not enough to warrant. It's not enough to say like, oh, that's not even 2 power play attempts a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and some of those are shortened. Some of those, like especially in the Calgary game, there were 4-on-4s. I believe the Buffalo game there were 4-on-4s. In fact, I think the Buffalo game was 1-1 in penalties, and I think there was a 4-on-4 in that.
There was definitely a 4-on-4 in that game.
Yeah. So, like, I think that once the officials decide to turn the tap back on, I think we'll be talking about them in a more positive light because they'll just have more opportunities to shoot it. All right. Do you have one more point?
I was just going to say, Kent Hughes, if he's known to be annoying on the phone, I think the people he needs to be annoying on the phone right now is the league. Just constantly calling them. 2 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Just be calling them being like, what are you doing?
Well, the league has a policy where you cannot call for 24 hours after a game in which you have a complaint. It's a cool down.
But there's no
period.
limit after that.
No, there's no limit after that. And I guess, 24 hours after this game would be, I don't know, about midnight Eastern time. So give him a ring, Kent. Just keep calling him. Have Jeff join in too. Which Jeff? Either one. It's fine. All right, we'll leave that there. When we come back, we'll get back into our mailbag and talk about some unsung heroes so far in this young Canadian season. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it gives me so many ways for me to play, but the one I always resort back to is the touchdown props with the NFL, the anytime touchdowns. I like to build parlays out of them on Sunday afternoons, just sort of as I'm watching all the games, just hoping my guys are getting over the goal line. It's a really fun way to just stay involved in all the action, and you've got a little bit extra riding on it. Whether you're a casual fan or you love diving into the stats like me, FanDuel makes the game day experience so much better. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. All right, back to our mailbag here. Let's head over to our buddy Randy Hansen, who asks, who is your unsung hero for the Habs so far this season? He also asks, who do you think is the funniest player on the team, and why is it Dobish? It is Dobish. He's the modern Ilya Bryzgalov, as far as I'm concerned. Someone on the Game Over chat mentioned that, and I haven't stopped thinking about it because of how dead on accurate it is. So that's my answer there. Who's your unsung hero so far for the Canadiens?
Honestly, I really truly think it's Kapanen.
Yeah,
I know we're singing his praises, but is everyone else in the world? No. Right? It's just us nerds. It's the nerds.
Yeah, he was quietly leading the league in rookie goal scoring, and nobody was really saying anything.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, he's penalty killing.
Yes.
Like as a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
I know he has experience in the NHL last year and professional experience in Europe the last few years, but like, it's still a really big deal.
Can I give an honorable mention to Alex Newhook?
Alex Newhook was going to be my guy. So yes, we can. I think that, his penalty killing has been great, especially early in the game against Edmonton. I found that they were gluing him to McDavid because he's probably the only forward that they have on the penalty kill who would be able to keep up with his foot speed. I think that line might work with another guy in his place, but I think it especially works with Newhook in that spot.
Yeah.
Because of the speed, right? The speed opens up so much more for a crafty player like Demidov. The one thing he needs to improve on playing on that line is there a few times, maybe one or two times a game, where Demidov gets him a puck and he's not ready for it because he's not expecting a 19-year-old to be able to get him the puck, and his stick's not on the ice and it goes through. If you're on the ice with Ivan Demidov, you need to be ready at all times. He's going to find you. You need to be ready. Like, we're talking about goals being taken off the board here. It's like last year with Hutson, how many more points he would have if guys were able to bury the passes that he gave them.
Yeah.
That will come with time. People will adjust, especially Newhook. He'll adjust to having to play with him, and figure out a little bit more. All right, let's do a Roberts brother here. This is Kyle Roberts. Is there a pecking order when it comes to getting called up, or do you think it's more thought out than that? Do they bypass some of the guys to keep them in Laval, to keep that team balanced and winning, and bringing up players they're willing to part with so they can be showcased to potential buyers? Where are you at on just this week, right? They called up Owen Beck first on an emergency basis. They sent him down and called up Joshua Waugh. What did that mean to you watching them make those decisions?
I think in this particular instance, they looked at the NHL team's need. I think that it's really early in the AHL season. And I think that the times that you make those decisions where you either want to reward a player for their play, you make that later in the season, right? Like, you see what kind of start they're having in the AHL or how they're playing, right? If they earn that spot. I know a lot of people are like, well, why isn't Florian Jacki called up? Like, I think if you look at the players in the preseason, he was the one who earned it the most, right? Other than Kapanen, who earned the spot on the team, the one spot that was there. I think that they didn't call him up because they literally looked at what does the team need right now, like either a position or a particular skill set or something like that. I think that's how they made the decision recently. But I do think that there is some truth to sometimes showcasing a guy that maybe like either a team's interested in or maybe you want to offer. But I think at the beginning, they're just looking at like, what does this team need to win games?
Yeah, I think so too. I do think though that they try to mix it up when they can. Like, there's no discernible reason to me why they went with Beck for a few and then with Waugh. I mean, maybe it's because Beck, they wanted to leave in Montreal so he could stay with Laval. Maybe that's why. But like, you didn't get much of anything out of Joshua Waugh. Like, it's midway through the third period, he got the puck and I was like, oh, I forgot he was playing.
Yeah,
like,
I literally forgot he was in the game.
Rough going for him at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder if the next call up at forward is Florian Jacki. I really do think that that's well within the range of potential outcomes here.
I hope they do that at home. It would be so good.
Yeah, exactly. All right. MAB133 on Blue Sky asks, having Struble as a seventh defenseman is such a luxury for the Habs. And I am a big fan of his game. How many teams roughly do you think he would be a starter on? How many teams in the NHL do you think Jaden Struble is a top 6 defenseman on?
16 or 17?
I think so too.
Yeah.
Like, I think his stock is going to grow. It's one of the benefits of not benefits of having Gouli out, but it's a guy making the most of that.
Mm-hmm. He's been so good.
He's been so good. And people are like, well, he plays with Lane Hutson. Yeah, but if you watch the game, he's been good in his own right.
Yeah.
He makes some hiccups now and then. To point to a defenseman on this team that doesn't. I thought in Edmonton, Carrier had one of his like least good games in a long time.
Yeah.
Which is like saying something because he's usually like really reliable, steady Eddie on the blue line, like not worried about him at all. I thought that was kind of an off night from him. So yeah, I think Struble, like, I think people don't realize how many bad teams there are in the National Hockey League. And Struble would be a top 6 guy. He'd probably be like a top penalty killer on some of these teams. Genuinely, not a lot of them, maybe 2 or 3, but like he'd be there.
Yeah. What a good first world problem to have.
Yeah, too many defensemen. I know, like Elliot Friedman keeps talking about how the Red Wings have too many defensemen and they're trying to trade some of them. And he keeps saying they have Eric Gustafson on the American Hockey League. And I'm like, that's not exciting to me in the least. Like, I'm looking at who the Canadiens have and I'm like, yeah, I think we're good. Actually, we had the Eric Gustafson experience. And last time he was on the team, they went to the Stanley Cup final. And I was like, maybe not. We don't need to be doing that. We have time for one more here. This comes to us from Jay Schwarzer, who asks, I think based on what we've seen so far, I'm over the Joe Veleno reclamation experiment. To me, if Montreal was going to pay someone near league minimum to go out and play, maybe make a few mistakes, I'd rather it be from a younger player who could use and learn from the experience, like Florian Jacki or playing Owen Beck more. What are your thoughts on the Joe Veleno experience so far?
I don't think he's been terrible, but I think he's been very inconsistent.
Yeah, I'm sort of at a point with him where I don't know that it's worth getting bent out of shape about how Joe Veleno is playing. I'm not saying that this person's doing that, but I just like he's not like hurting the team actively. He's not doing a lot positive. He's eating minutes so Marty can roll lines.
He's
you
there.
don't see. Yeah, he's not even penalty killing. Like you don't see Joe Veleno a lot. And we wouldn't see him at all if Patrick Laine was healthy, right? Like, and I wonder, we're news this week was that Patrick Laine was going for a second opinion, which is never good news. It means that he got some kind of feedback medically that he wasn't a big fan of and is trying to figure out if there are other options. That doesn't seem short-term to me personally, which bums me out. Maybe a conversation for next week when we might have more news. But like, if Laine is out long-term and they're not comfortable with Veleno, do you make a move? Do you make like do you make an Alex Carrier type trade at forward?
Yes.
Joshua Waugh for like a fourth liner.
Yeah.
A guy like that, to me, I know people will be like, oh, that's that's not enough value for Joshua Waugh. Have you seen him play? Like he's tanked his value. There's nothing. Like yeah. So I'm wondering sort of if that's if Laine can't go for long term and they're not thrilled with Veleno, which we have no indication that they are, thinking of changing that up. So, to each their own. But again, coming into the season, I was pretty low on him, and I'm not overwhelmed or underwhelmed. I'm perfectly whelmed on this player.
Yeah. I wonder too, it's like, because he made a couple mistakes and it wasn't like fatal mistakes, but he made a couple of mistakes. And sometimes when you see that in a new player, a player that's new to your team, it's like, why did they get this guy? Right.
Yeah.
I do think that. Okay.
You also have to remember he's only played like 4 games?
Yeah.
Like he says he hasn't played a ton. Like it's not like we're 30 games in going, why are they still playing this guy? He's like 3 or 4 games in and we're going, we know exactly why they're playing this guy, because they don't have another guy. And they don't want to. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We're going to have sound effects for our trivia now going forward.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, let's recap our question from yesterday. It was another sicko question. And my heart is warmed by the amount of sickos I have listening to this show and the amount of people who were proud and they were like, I'm a sicko now. I was just so over the moon excited. I feel like that is, if there's a mark I've left on this show, or if there's an audience I'm trying to cultivate, it is sickos. So I'm proud of you for being here and for answering these questions for us. So thank you. Let's do the player path from yesterday's episode. Phoenix/Arizona Coyotes, Dallas Stars, Calgary Flames, New Jersey Devils, San Jose Sharks, Montreal Canadiens. Who is that guy, Laura?
It's the one David Schlemko.
It is, as Manny put in his email response to us, Habs legend David Schlemko. Man, remember, David Schlemko was brought in as like sort of the Alex Carrier of his time.
Yes.
And it was never that. It was so, he just never played. What he did, he was like, who is this guy? Lots of people have this one right. Obviously, the aforementioned Manny, Jeff Agombar. That's not me mispronouncing your name. That is me not being able to read my own handwriting. So apologies there. Kyle Roberts, JL, Colin, Matthew Lalonde, Alexander Christian, Good Sport, Peter Coles, and Super Rain. You are all sickos. Thank you for remembering the great David Schlemko in Montreal. Laura, do you have our question for today?
Our question is, it's a trivia, it's a made up question, and the question is wrong answers only.
Yeah.
Why did Josh Anderson get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty? I've already taken the too handsome and the rest are jealous answer, so you guys have to come up with something else. It's not really a trivia question, but it is a question. So please add it in our comments, on our socials. Please tell us why you think the refs gave Josh Anderson an unsportsmanlike conduct in that Oilers game.
Keep it clean. Keep it friendly down there. Let's not get carried away.
We do have children listening to this
question. Yes, this is a family program, guys. So let's keep it at that level. All right. We'll take another deep breath. and we'll head into the weekend. Thank you for making us your first listen of the day here at Locked On Canadiens, and for subscribing wherever you get your podcast doing. That supports us here on the show and ensures you won't miss an episode. For your second listen, go check out the Locked On NHL podcast, where you can hear me in a short after the Edmonton Oilers game, trying to control my emotions and doing a very poor job of doing so. The Locked On NHL guys, they have you guys hooked up for the entire season. The NHL season's in full swing. You're going to want to hang out there, so go subscribe to them wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us Locked On Canadiens everywhere we're posting things, Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok primarily. LockedOnCanadiens@gmail.com for our email. You can send us your mailbag questions. If we didn't get to your question today, we'll probably bag it and we'll try to get to it next week. We went a little long this time, so had to keep things moving. You can find me at Maybe It's Ian. You can find Laura at The Actor Stick. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy the game on Saturday. We will see you guys on Monday.